September 5th. So I'll be paying attention to what school he decides to go to. So now, I gave the shout outs. We talked about that stuff. Now we're going to get to the real stuff. We're going to talk about the NBA schedule. That was newly released. I actually talked about it in my last pod. I was like, you know what? It's probably going to be released this week. I'll talk about it at the next episode. So again, like I said, I'll leave the description down below for my last pod if you want to check out what I had to say. And then also I'm going to leave a link in the description for the EYBL one as well. If you want to hear more about like AJ DeBontis, Tyron Stokes, and all those kids that was at that camp. I did a pretty good dive on some of those players on those teams. But let's get to the NBA schedule. NBA released the schedule last week. I took a lot of good notes, I believe, on what happened and just information I peeled back from it. Some of the information you may know, some of it you may know, some of it may just be a refresher. But this is for the people that may not have the time to keep up with every little detail, you know, because I understand life happens. So I just want to give you guys some really good information that I found interesting. And leave comments below if you feel like I missed out on something or you noticed something that I didn't notice, or even let me know what I said that interests you and something you may not have known about, you know? So let's dive right into it. I just want to kind of go over first and foremost the teams that have the hardest schedule to begin with in October and November. Those 5 teams, and I'm going to give you guys to them in order. Number 1 is the Phoenix Suns, the Los Angeles Clippers, the Dallas Mavericks, the Warriors, and OKC. And you'll see, as I go down this list, you'll see who they kind of did OKC kind of dirty, if you ask me. They kind of did OKC kind of dirty throughout the schedule. It's kind of faulty how they did OKC, but my takeaway from that, I'm interested to see how OKC comes out, because if they have one of the top 5 hardest schedules to begin with, what does that probably let us know on the back end of their schedule, you know? We all know what OKC may be this year, you know. So I just wanted to kind of point that out a little bit, okay? So I also want to talk about the teams with the most amount of back-to-backs and the ones with the least amount. So the teams with the most amount of back-to-backs, it's tied between like 10 different teams, have 16. So I'm just going to name those teams, but remember they all have 16 games they have 16 back-to-backs. The Hawks, the Cavs, the Nuggets, the Rockets, the Clippers, the Bucks, the Pelicans, the Thunder, the Suns, the Kings, and the Wizards are all the teams with the most back-to-backs. Okay, so, excuse me. And then the teams with the least amount of back-to-backs are going to be the Boston Celtics, the Bulls, the Mavericks, the Lakers, the Wizards, and the Blazers. All those teams only have 13 back-to-backs. So, you know, let's talk about that briefly. The teams with the most, obviously, it's going to affect probably teams that are a little bit older. But the younger teams shall be fine. I think it's interesting that Boston only has 13. Kind of sets up for them to win another 60 games this year, you know, barring injury. Obviously, knock on wood. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. And then also want to talk about the teams with the most televised games. The teams with the most televised games, I did the top 5 with the most and then the top 5 with the least. So the teams with the top 5 most games in the NBA are the Los Angeles Lakers at 39, the Golden State Warriors at 36, Boston at 34, Knicks at 34, Dallas and Phoenix tied at 5th with 30, and then the teams with the least, and rightfully so, as I named these teams, except one of the teams. One of the teams I got a problem with being on this list. But, so the teams with the least amount of games, it's a 3-way tie. These teams only have 4 games on national TV. It's the Portland Trail Blazers, Detroit Pistons, and the Toronto Raptors. Second, we got 3 teams tied with only 5 games on national TV. We got the Washington Wizards, the Chicago Bulls, and the Brooklyn Nets. Utah's at 3 with only 7 national televised games. Atlanta's at 4 with 8. And then the one I got the most problem with is number 5, the Orlando Magic, only got 9. And my next episode, I talk more about the Magic, talk more about the Hawks. Yeah, so tune in the next episode to hear more about that. But yeah, that kind of frustrated me about the Magic. I believe the Magic is an upcoming team. I personally love watching Paolo Banchero. I've been keeping up with Paolo since he was up in Seattle. And also he went to Duke. And I'm a Duke fan. So I'm a big fan of Paolo Banchero. And this last playoff run, you know, he was hooping. Again, I'll talk more about them in my next episode. I'm not going to give away anything that I'm going to say about the Magic. But yeah, I'm frustrated about the Magic. being on this list, to be honest with you. So the teams who had the largest, basically margin increase in televised games, I'm gonna give you the top 5 in that. I'm gonna give you 2 in order. The Minnesota Timberwolves gained the most at 15, followed by the Thunder, followed by the Knicks with 9. The Thunder had 12. Sorry, I forgot to mention the Thunder's number, but they had 12. The Pacers had 8, and the Rockets got 7. Personally, I have nothing to say about that. Nothing wrong with it. I would obviously, the Lakers, Boston, Golden State, the Knicks, like these are large brands. So I get why the Lakers and the Warriors are going to be on there. I don't want to give away too much. I don't want to give away too much of my opinion to you guys about teams, because obviously as the weeks go on, I'm deep diving into every team. So I don't want to say too much right now. So we'll just go to the next thing, because I was going to go on a tangent. I was going to go on a little rant. So something else that kind of jawned at me is that I seen something that said high televised games, or like high profile TV games. It said that teams wouldn't play the day before or the day after. Oddly enough, I kind of dug a little deep on a couple teams' schedule, and they kind of did the Thunder and Grizzlies dirty. The Thunder got screwed because in February, the Thunder on February 12th, they play the Heat, and then on the 13th, they play the Timberwolves at Minnesota. So they play at home against Miami on the 12th, and then they go to Minnesota on the 13th, and that's on TNT. And then they did it to them again in March 15th. They go at Detroit, then they play at Bucks on the 16th of March on ESPN. So I thought that was kind of messed up how they did the Thunder. The Thunder, again, they did the Thunder rotten. They don't play on opening night, they don't play on Christmas Day, and they don't play on MLK. Like, I don't understand why the Thunder didn't get more love, but also I understand, like, marketing wise, I get it. For TV reasons, I get it. Oklahoma City, shout out to all my Oklahoma City fans and who live in Oklahoma, but you guys just are not a big market, so I get that. But we want to see good level basketball. As a basketball fan, I want to watch high level and great basketball. And I think we all can agree that the Thunder they're here. And they have some very exciting players. We want to watch good basketball. I think they play pretty good basketball. Sorry, I needed some water, man. My throat is dry. But I just thought the Thunder got kind of done dirty throughout this whole thing. The Grizzlies also kind of got done dirty. 4 of their 9 nationally televised games are literally they literally have 4 of their 9 nationally televised games. They literally play the next day. So again, NBA doing them dirty. A really big special event that's going to happen in the NBA season, which I think is going to be dope if you didn't hear about the announcement. The Phoenix Suns will play the San Antonio Spurs on February 20th at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. All the times I give you guys are literally Eastern. So just to let you guys know, they're all Eastern times, because I'm getting ready to give you guys a slew of games that are coming up. So they'll be all Eastern times. But they play at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time on February 20th. The Suns will play the Spurs on TNT, but it will be at University of Texas. So kind of like a homecoming for Kevin Durant. It should be a great game. I'm excited to watch that because we've never seen anything like that happen in the NBA. So I thought that was kind of cool. Another thing, speaking about the Spurs, another interesting thing I noticed, we kind of get Alperen Şengün versus Wemby 3 times within the first 10 games. So I thought that was kind of interesting. That's something I kind of wrote out. But I kind of just want to give you guys kind of a brief schedule, kind of. I'm going to give you guys the opening night. I'm going to give you Christmas Day. I'm going to give you MLK Day. And then also, the NBA is also doing a thing called Rival Week. They're doing Rival Week. And so I'm going to go over those matchups for that as well. But keep in mind, this is all Eastern time. So if you live on the West Coast, or you live in, your Mountain Time or the Midwest, just keep that in mind as I'm giving you these numbers, okay? So opening night is Tuesday, October 22nd. Opens up, we got the Knicks versus Boston at 7:30 p.m. on TNT. Mind you, this is the last opening night for TNT, unfortunately. So Kenny, Chuck, Ernie, Shaq, this is it, So I'm interested to see if they do anything or have any special guests for that night. So they'll be opening us up for the very first game. The nightcap game will be Minnesota at the Lakers. That's at 10 p.m. And then so on Christmas Day, and I want to mind you guys, I will obviously be doing episodes from here on out, but after I do all my season outlooks, literally before the season tips off, I'll give you guys my predictions for opening night when we get there. So just want to let you guys know that. Don't want to really talk too much about that. Let's keep it moving. So Christmas Day, we get to wake up early. We got the Spurs at New York. I actually talked about this in my last pod. I talked about how I'm excited to watch Wimpy play at MSG. Real basketball fans know that I ain't gonna say superstars like make their like I'm in the NBA moment in New York, but all like you can look back in history. A lot of superstars play at MSG. They have massive performances. I'm hoping we get one of those from Wimpy this year. We'll see if it's this year. Maybe it'll be in a couple years or something. But I'm excited to watch it. That's the first game. That's at 12 p.m. And that's going to be on ESPN. The next game after that, we got Minnesota, rematch of the Western Conference Finals. We got Minnesota at Dallas. That's at 2:30 p.m. On ABC. Then we got Philadelphia at Boston. That's at 5 p.m. That's on ABC. And then the two nightcap games, we got the Los Angeles Lakers going to the Golden State Warriors at 8 p.m. And then we got the Denver Nuggets going to Phoenix at 10. I was about to say 7:30. See, I'm on that West Coast time. It's at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, and that's going to be on ESPN. Then on MLK Day, kind of rubbed me the wrong way. No Atlanta Hawks on MLK Day. Thought that was kind of odd. Fun fact, I actually went to the Martin Luther King Museum in Atlanta years ago with my grandmother. So I understand what MLK meant to Atlanta. So playing on MLK Day, we got the Dallas Mavericks going to the Charlotte Hornets. That's at 12 p.m. Eastern. That's at 12 p.m. Yeah, that's 12 p.m. Eastern on NBA TV. And then we got the Minnesota Timberwolves at the Memphis Grizzlies. That's 2:30 p.m. Eastern, and that's on TNT. And then we got the Boston Celtics going to Golden State at 5 p.m. Eastern, and that's on TNT. I can't help but say the Eastern time. I don't know. I just can't help it. So I also want to go over the rivalry week. I think that's very interesting that the NBA is trying to do that. I think they're just trying to, give us something to look forward to, something for us to build towards, something to really try to capture new fans or even get old NBA fans back inclined into it. So I get it. It's a nice little marketing thing. I'm interested to see if anything really comes out of it. So there's 10 televised games going to be happening from January 21st to January 25th, and I'm just going to go over those games with you guys. So on the 21st, which is a Tuesday, we got the Knicks at the Brooklyn Nets. That's at 7:30. And remind you, this is all Eastern time. And then we got the nightcap. We got Philadelphia at Denver. That's at 10 p.m. on TNT. Wednesday, January 22nd, we got Minnesota at Dallas at 7:30. Then we get the nightcap, Golden State at Sacramento at 10 p.m. And then Thursday, January 23rd, we got Miami at Milwaukee at 7:30. Then we got Boston at Los Angeles at the Lakers, and that's at 10 p.m. Both of those games are also on TNT. Friday, January 24th, we got New Orleans at Memphis at 8 p.m., and that's on NBA TV. And then Saturday night, January 25th, we got Denver at Minnesota at 3 p.m. on ABC. We got Boston at Dallas at 5:30 on ABC. And then the nightcap is the Lakers at Golden State at 8:30 p.m. on ABC. So that is rivalry week. Then I'll also want to... Also, a couple other dates to keep in mind are players going back to their old teams. We got Paul George going to the Clippers, November 6th. Klay Thompson going back to the Warriors, which is going to be November 12th. DeMar DeRozan going back to the Bulls, January 12th. Mikal Bridges playing against the Nets, January 21st. Obviously, we all know the biggest one out of all that is Klay going back to the Warriors. We know that's going to be a very emotional game for him. Honestly, you might want to take his prop bets, his shot attempts over. If anybody that sports bet, yeah, take his shot attempts over because he's probably going to be trying to, because, he probably feels some type of way. The Warriors didn't pay him what he wanted, and they made him feel some type of way, So I know he's going to be motivated that game. Some key dates in the 2024-2025 NBA season calendar. I just want to kind of go over these with you guys very briefly. October 22nd, the regular season starts. November 2nd, the NBA Mexico City game, we got the Miami Heat playing the Washington Wizards in Mexico City. That's November 2nd. November 12th, we got the NBA Cup formerly known as the NBA Cup. They named the name to the Empress. They named it to the Empress. They renamed the cup to Empress NBA Cup. That starts November 12th. December 17th, the Empress NBA Cup. I'm going to just call it the in-season tournament. The in-season tournament Cup championship game is December 17th. January 23rd and 25th, the NBA has Paris games. They got the Spurs playing the Pacers, so Wimpy gets to go back home. I think that's going to be very exciting. And then February 6th, NBA trade deadline is on that date. Trade deadline ends at 3 p.m. Eastern, so 12 p.m. Pacific time. February 14th to 16th, we all know what that is. That's the NBA All-Star Game. This year, it's going to be in San Francisco, California. Next year, it's going to be in Los Angeles, California, and I plan on being in the building for that one because I said in my last pod, and I'm going to keep tooting the horn, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if I'm right, I'm going to tell you guys. I said it. And it's going to be in LA next year, and I believe that is going to be LeBron James' last All-Star game. That's just my personal opinion. And when I talk about my season preview about the Lakers, I'll talk about it more in depth. But yeah, so that's the All-Star game. April 13th, we got the NBA regular season ends. April 15th to April 18th, we got the NBA play-in tournament. And April 19th, we got the NBA playoffs. And so that's the NBA schedule.